Today we're going to be talking about this beast back here, which is the Prime HLP Single Stack. I've had it for about 2 months now. I was lucky enough to find it used off Facebook Marketplace, and there's some things I really like about it, and there's some things I think are just okay. Now, I do think it's important to note for reference what I was utilizing before this. I had the Rogue Slinger with the weight stack, and you guys know I just think Rogue missed the boat on that. So compared to that, this thing is like a McLaren versus maybe a Honda Accord. Now the Rogue did the trick, but I will say, other than the feel of the pulley not being so great on the Rogue Slinger, the biggest drawback is it had the high pulley and the low pulley, but you didn't have any of this functionality to bring this to any height. And what I love about this is that opens up so many possibilities of different exercises. So that would be my first suggestion if you're in the market for something like the Single Stack. It's not only Prime that makes it, now Rep has one, Rogue has one, a bunch of different manufacturers. Do not purchase just a lat pull down and a low row. In my opinion, you're leaving so much on the table not being able to move this up and down. So that is by far the biggest advantage to a piece like this. And I know a lot of people are going to ask, why get a standalone unit as opposed to getting something that's integrated into your rack? It's a very fair question. I'll say for me, it was kind of twofold. One, I'm not able to find that on Marketplace in most cases. And also, my rack is already so busy, and sometimes I don't want to have everything on the rack. Of course, it saves space, but having something that's just a standalone unit, for me, just makes it a little bit more convenient. Now, the irony here is I ended up going with a single stack to save a little bit of space. A double stack would be great, but there's no exercise really that I can't do on this. I don't have any friends, so I don't need to worry about sharing. And in theory, this tucks away very nicely in the corner. I couldn't square it off perfectly, as you can see, because this leg would be in the doorway and my kid would be tripping all over it. But it does tuck away very nicely. It has a pretty good footprint, and the versatility of this thing is awesome. You can see I can do everything from my lat pull downs to my low rows, and then everything in between. And not only that, what I really appreciate about this unit is the storage of the components. So I've got my lat pull down seat here, I've got my low pull down or my low row plate there, and I don't really have to think about storing it outside of this ecosystem. So as far as overall user experience, I would rank this very high. I've enjoyed training with it. It's been a huge upgrade compared to my Rogue Slinger. However, this is my first piece of Prime equipment. It might be the first piece of Prime equipment that I've ever actually used, so my expectations were extremely high. And I will say, the pulleys feel good. I can get a good workout no matter which workout or which exercise that I'm doing, but they surely are not as smooth as like a Cybex that you might use in a commercial gym. I was at a Marriott hotel the other day, and I could tell a huge difference of that versus my Prime piece. But when you're coming from something like the Rogue, I mean, this is night and day better. But ultimately, I think this piece solves the same problem that a lot of us have in our home gyms, and that is adding a lot of versatility without a huge footprint. So this really allowed me to expand the options in my training, and I've been very happy with it so far. Essentially, what I'm saying is this thing allows you to hit your biceps as efficiently as possible, because in reality, that's the only muscle that anybody cares about. Last thing I'm gonna mention before I get into some of the downsides is that this is the 2-to-1 version. They also make a 4-to-1, which I don't think you really need, but up here you got the 1-to-1 ratio, and then this is the 2-to-1. It is more weight than almost any of us would ever need. So overall, do I recommend this? Yes. Would I look at other options? I definitely would. I do think Prime has got this thing pretty dialed in. Of course, at a little higher cost if you don't get lucky like myself and find it on Facebook. But would I recommend purchasing it? Yes, especially if you want to use my affiliate code. You can save 5%. I know I hit the jackpot finding it on Marketplace, but let's get into some of the things that I'm not too thrilled with. When you buy this, it is going to be full of prime green, and I fully appreciate that they will not waver on that. That is their branding, it's their business, and more power to them, but I just don't like the green. So you can tell I have murdered mine out. I've got the black knob, the black handles, I replaced the green sticker with the white one. Even on the seats, I've taken off all the green, and over here, I took out the pin here, and I don't know what that is, some dumb looking logo if you ask me. So if you want a piece of prime equipment, that is just the price you have to pay. They are not going to send you anything that doesn't have that prime green. It just didn't match my aesthetic, but there are videos, which I'll link down below, from my friend Brandon that will show you how to remove all of it. So here is one thing that I do not like about this equipment. You can see the plates go up by 20 pounds, which is fine with a lot of different exercises, but if I'm doing something like lateral raises, I am right between 10 and 30, so I would have to add a change plate, maybe add some bands, or use a stacked pin here to add a little bit more weight. But really, I am a very simple man. I just want to be able to take this thing in and out with the equipment that I have, and I don't want to do a whole lot of different type of setting up. So I wish that these did go up by 10, even if it meant less weight, because personally, I'm never gonna need 350 pounds, even on the 2-to-1 ratio. Now, the last thing I'm gonna mention is the height of this equipment. Now, I completely understand why they didn't make it taller. Maybe you have shorter ceilings, maybe you're trying to put this in a basement, but Prime is known for their attachments. So you can see if I attach this puppy right here, we're gonna be hanging down a few inches. Now, if you add the Prime handles, and this was another Facebook Marketplace find, I think I was just getting pretty lucky, you can see these hang down at least a foot from where the attachment point is. So even for someone like myself, who's not very tall, I'm 5'9", I can't even get a full contraction when I'm doing a lat pull down. So a lot of people love Prime because of all of their great attachments, but just keep in mind, you're probably not gonna be able to use this unless you do some things up there to make it taller. I know there's, again, different pieces and things you can do, but I am not gonna be spending 10, 15 minutes to just set something up. But for my short kings out there, you might be okay. Again, these are awesome. Even using a partial range of motion that I can get, I love it, but I just wish for me and my purposes, this was about 2 feet taller and it would be perfect. And that's it. That is going to be my Prime single stack review. Hopefully this helped some of you guys out there in the market. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments down below, and I look forward to talking to y'all next week.